there is a ton going on in the market right now that you should know about. Let's talk about it. I am Dr. Stock, a doctor of education, and I don't think anybody's ready for April 31st. I'm going to do us both a favor. I'm going to save us some time to get right into the charts. We're going to first look at SPY. At the daily chart, we are just below the 50-day simple moving average as of yesterday's close. That's that thin blue line that you see on your screen. We had a cross of the 20-day from the Bollinger Bands, the simple moving average at that, and we're dead in between them right now. We will need to see if we continue below that 20-period moving average, or that could send us in a bearish direction, or if we pop up above the 50, that could be a bullish direction for us. And I'll tell you, the RSI right now looking bullish, but man, oh man, like being below that 50, not necessarily great in the short term. Getting back above it is going to be great for us in this near term. So moving on from that over to the Qs. When we look at QQQ, down below the 50 on there as well. Although you see the green and the yellow right in here, that is almost an EMA cross of the 5 and the 13. So the 5 and the 13 day, we're up over the 50. Near term, bullish, still under the 50 moving average. Got to watch that to see if we get rejected or if we break through that resistance. Should we retest and get rejected, the market could sell off. If we break through that, then we have it as support for us. Then we got to be looking out for a double top right around 448 to 450. That's that range that we're looking for, especially if we don't put in a new higher high from that. So moving over to Bitcoin, check this out. Looking at the 1 hour chart, you can see the consolidation pattern that it was in. It's actually broken down through, retested, and fallen again. We could see 60,000 come out of this, so a little bit of softness coming from Bitcoin. Then we want to see what happens around that support level if we continue to push down through it. So for Bitcoin, still experiencing some of that price weakness, still softening a little bit for us. Moving over from there to AMD, they have their earnings today, and you can see I have this support line right here, right at about 162. So popping up above that is going to lead to some bullishness, especially if the markets hold out from there. And that 50 days all the way up at 177. So if we move to the upside on this, we could easily see 10% over the coming days that follow. If earnings sell off, we have the 200-day down below, all the way down at 137, and we also found support. We found buyers right around 145. I anticipate strong positive earnings to come from AMD, and their guidance is going to tell us a lot about what to expect for Nvidia. So I was going to do Tesla next, but we'll jump over to Nvidia. So for Nvidia, what we're looking at for Nvidia is that we are currently up above the 50-day. We have a nice long bottom wick coming off of this, showing that we had some buyers right in around that 50-day and the 850 level. We still need to see if we are going to push up from there to crack over the 900 level. And if we do, if we're able to break through that, then we have a much clearer shot to this $1,000 price prediction that I have for Nvidia stock leading up to their earnings. AMD is going to be a huge indicator of that. And I also can't forget about Amazon, who has their earnings today as well. And so we want to hear from them. They are right now, if we reset this view, there we go, and we'll collapse that so you get more on your screen. We're actually near all-time highs for Amazon coming off of those getting rejected. We'll happen to see, we have to listen for Amazon Web Services. We also want to hear for name drops of Nvidia coming out from that. And then Apple on Thursday is also what we want to hear from as well. And it's a very possible that Apple has seen a little bit of the darkness priced in, and we want to see some buying pressure coming from that. I think that's going to be strong for the entire market. If Apple sells off, that can strongly influence what we see in things like the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P itself, as Apple is a massive company. And then finally, Tesla. What's important to look at for Tesla, daily-wise, near the overbought territory. However, if we go, and by the way, we're above the 50-day, that's excellent. We want to see that push up for that golden cross moment. And the full self-driving approval in China should be a massive boost to their revenue, and also being high margin like it is, it should help to expand those margins. We want to see how that translates, and it should be very good. And there's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of buying, and we also saw a strong price appreciation yesterday. With that news coming in, take a look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart, what's important here, this RSI cross, as you see it, we've actually just peaked up to 50, let me see, what is that, 50, 60 yesterday. So if we continue to see that move upward for us, that puts us in a bullish territory on a longer trend basis. And then we have the 50-day simple moving average, the 200-day, pretty darn near each other right now. We could see that retest coming in. That is between 10 and 20% up from where we're at right now. It's actually closer to that 20% side of things. We'll call it 15. We'll cut to the middle of it and say about 15% appreciation as per the weekly chart. And if we go out to the daily chart to see where we're at with that, 221 is where we have the 200-day, which is where we find significant resistance. We also have resistance at 200 itself. And then above that, about 205, 206 is also where we saw some turnaround, some historic support and resistance before. So for Tesla, I think that there's a lot to be excited about. For Nvidia, we would need to hear AMD's earnings. It's going to be highly influential to what we see happening with Nvidia and hence the overall market for what we're looking at there, especially where QQQ is involved with the NASDAQ 100. Amazon, we're going to hear for shout outs from them. We also want to see what Apple signals to us on Thursday. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Fed meeting with their interest rate decision, and Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow, Wednesday at 2:30. Following their interest rate decision at 2, which we're expected to see the same rates come out of that. If we get an early cut, that isn't necessary. Now, mind you, that's not expected at all. But if we saw it, that surprise wouldn't necessarily translate to bullishness in the markets because it could signal further trouble and it could actually cause the market to panic, getting something unexpected, such as a rate cut when it's not expected at all. It's something like a 98, 99% chance last I checked that we stay where we're at, like 1% to 2% that there would actually be a cut coming through. Surprises from the Fed aren't necessarily good surprises, especially at this point in time in the markets. Guys, I appreciate you watching. If you want to hear more of my commentary and if you want to see my buys and sells, you can check it out over the Patreon using the link down in the description. There's also a link for a technical analysis trading course. If you want to learn to do technical analysis like I do to up your trading game, you can find that link down in the description as well. As always, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.